This virus right here is the last of its kind, and it is in a freezer in Atlanta, Georgia. There's also one in Russia, and if it gets out, you are dead. This is the story of one of the deadliest viruses ever, and how we contained it for good. You know how we got rid of it? With a cow and a milkmaid. Oh my god, those mammary glands are healthy. Sir, yes sir. Do you want me to milk them? No, no. I am more concerned about your cowpox. I want to scrape some samples of it. Sure. Ooh. And so this man went on his way to create the world's first vaccine and the cure for smallpox. But what exactly went down? And what kind of brain-dead ship did we human beings pull? But first, the disease. 300 million dead in the 20th century. Not in all of human history, but the 20th century only. You know, the years with cars and antibiotics and the moon landing. But smallpox is not new. It has been around for over 3,000 years. This pharaoh right here, the pharaoh Ramesses V, is widely believed to have died of it. Look at those pockmarks. Smallpox. India has records of smallpox as early as 1500 BC. Yep, they had it way before they began pooping in the Ganges River. Queen Elizabeth I got it too and survived, but she was scarred for life. And that is why she wore heavy white makeup all the time. And because she was the queen, everyone else started doing it too. Men, women, everyone did it to look like they also survived smallpox. That's right, kissing a powerful person's ass is not a new thing. What is the opposite of antibiotics? Uncle biotics. Before Jenner worked on smallpox, we human beings did a lot of dubious stuff to cure it. First, there was the red treatment. No, not that red treatment. This one. Patients wore red clothing inside red rooms with red furnishings, and they ate red food. What I can't believe is that a doctor recommended this. His reasoning? God color-coded nature, and each color cured a specific disease. Red things cure red problems. Blood is red. Smallpox makes you bleed. So red room plus red clothes plus red food equals solution to smallpox. This is called the doctrine of signatures, and it was a real medical standard. Wait, does that mean chocolates can cure explosive diarrhea? You know what else they tried? Bloodletting. The idea was, drain the bad blood out. Supposedly, it restores balance and you should feel better. But did it cure smallpox? Nope. But you surely could develop anemia. People also stopped bathing because they believed that open pores was how the disease got in. And how do you close your skin pores? You don't shower. Again, this was official medical guidance. It's probably why some Europeans until today do not shower often. You stink! But what is smallpox anyway? I'm not going through the scientific juju, but here's how it works. You breathe it in, and for about 2 weeks, you feel fine. So you go about your life, but what you didn't know was that you were a walking biological weapon because the virus was airborne. Then comes the fever, and then the headache, and then the back pain so severe, you would think your spine is breaking. And finally, the rashes. It starts in the mouth and throat. Then your face, arms, and body. If you survived, you were immune for life, but you also had permanent scars. Too bad for you, at that time, body positivity was not a thing. Oh, and one more thing, you could go blind. But you were alive, so that was nice. Before Jenner, the Ottomans had a solution. Find someone with smallpox, scrape it off, then rub it into a healthy person. And voila, you get sick, you recover, and you develop immunity. Sometimes, they inhaled dried smallpox scabs into their noses. Oh my god, you suddenly look pretty. Variolation killed 1 in 100 people. Naturally acquired smallpox killed 1 in 3. You decide. Me? Well, if a milkmaid would variolate me, I am all for it. The word variola, by the way, comes from the Latin word varius, which means speckled, in case you're interested. But of course you're not. It worked so well that George Washington ordered the entire Continental Army to get variolated during the Revolutionary War. Every soldier was variolated. Man, this is what victory looks like. No retreating. Also no scratching. But just like modern times, not everyone was on board. After all, variolation still killed people. So, what's the better solution then? Ruder folks in England had noticed something. Milkmaids didn't get smallpox. What they got was cowpox. which is a mild version of pox, but for cows. The milkmaids would get sores on their hands, had fever, and then it was gone. And when smallpox came around, the milkmaids were fine. Everyone knew this, but nobody did anything about it. Until, in 1774, a farmer decided to do something about it. He scraped pus from a cow's cowpox and rubbed it into his wife and two sons. They got sick and recovered, then they got exposed to smallpox. Nothing happened to them, and yet the townspeople called him an idiot. It would take another 22 years for Dr. Edward Jenner to come along. So Jenner was a country doctor in England who had spent years collecting collecting milkmaid testimonies and observations. He believed that cowpox was the key to smallpox immunity. One day, a dairy maid named Sarah walked in. Jenner scraped her cowpox pus. Then he made a shallow cut on a boy's arm. And guess what he did next? He rubbed the pus on the wound like margarine. And then they waited. I'm not feeling so good. Despite all this, James recovered, and 6 weeks later, Jenner rubbed actual smallpox into the same boy's arm. Nothing happened. Now, you know that experiment requires repetition. So Jenner did it again and again on the same boy. And little James, he never got the smallpox. He was immune. And so Jenner called this process vaccination, from the word vaca, or cow. He wrote it all up and presented his findings to the Royal Society of London. Nobody gave a rat's ass about his experiment, so Jenner published his findings himself in 1798. And within 2 years, doctors across Europe had replicated the results. 15 years later, the Royal Society of London made him a fellow, but not everyone was convinced. This doctor told people that vaccination will turn you into a cow. Religious people raised objections too, but they do that all the time anyway. They said that deliberately inducing illness was interference with divine will. If God intended you to die of smallpox, you should die of smallpox. Wait, what? They said that? This anti-vax movement never stopped? People still do it until today, and if you see them, you better run. By 1805, Napoleon had vaccinated his entire army, and the French civilians too. But Spain had something better in mind. They organized a global vaccination expedition that departed in 1803. One problem: cowpox doesn't survive long. Person heals, virus gone. So where do you get cowpox once you get to your destination? The solution? 22 orphan children. They gave the first child cowpox, and as the cowpox ripened, they scrape the pus and transfer it to the next child. Child number 1 recovers, child number 2 is now the vessel of the cowpox. And so on and so forth. They did this for weeks across the ocean, and it worked. They had live cowpox when they got to their colonies. By the mid-1800s, vaccination was mandatory in several countries, and for the first time in 3,000 years, smallpox was on the decline. But how exactly did we get rid of it? In 1967, the WHO decided to eradicate smallpox entirely. The strategy: ring vaccination. What they did was find an active case and find every person that he talked to and vaccinate everyone outward in a ring around the outbreak. Contain it, that was the goal. 50,000 field workers participated in 50 countries, and within 10 years, smallpox was gone. The last case was in 1977. The guy was isolated, his contacts vaccinated, and he recovered. In 1980, the WHO declared smallpox completely eradicated. So where can you find smallpox now? Well, in 2 freezers. One at the CBC in Atlanta, Georgia, and one in a lab in Russia. Until today, experts debate whether or not to destroy these samples. The virus is gone. Keeping these samples is too risky. We need it for research. This debate is not over. The samples are still around. In 2019, the Russian lab exploded. The samples were reported to be safe. Oh yes, the disease is gone, but the virus is not. Derp, 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 derp.